Yeah, I wanted to spend a few minutes today just talking about community, our community, you, and what that means to us and where we're going with the community in the future. Maybe the way I should start is just to kind of share one thing, which is every one of you in the community has a user ID number. So if you type in Airbnb/user/show, there's a user ID number. So the first user was user number 1, the second user is user number 2. There's somebody who's user number 150 million, and today. So I am user number 3. Joe and Nate are users number 1 and 2. Unfortunately, they beat me to the sign up. That I'm a little bit annoyed by that. That Nate, of course, coded it, so he made himself user number 1. And so Joe was sitting next to him, made himself user number 2. Now I'm like the third dude. But the reason I mention that is we are the first members of the community. Joe and I were the first host. I was probably like the 6th guest ever to use Airbnb. In March 2008, we launched for the second time South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, and we had 2 bookings. I was one of them. So I was 50% of our business in our revenue at one point, which was a slightly troubling situation. But the point is that Airbnb, it started really as a community, probably even more than a business. In fact, our very first transactions, that weren't even transactions, there was no money exchanged through the site. It started much more as a community. It became a business. It is a business today, and it became a business to scale the community. But the point is that when it became a business, it never stopped becoming a community. And I think one of the things that makes Airbnb a bit different than other technology companies is that another technology company, their product is something you can hold in their hand. It's a piece of software. Our product is our community. It's you. It's people. And people are and always will be, I think, at the center of what we do. And so, my title is CEO. And every company's got a CEO, and the CEO means the person running the business. But when I've asked many of you, what is Airbnb? Most of you, the first word you don't say is a business, especially, sometimes you do, but that's not usually the first word. Some say it's a tech company. The most common word that I've gotten when I asked you is, oh, it's a community. It's a community of guests, community of hosts, a new way to travel. The word community comes up over and over, actually more often than than the word business. And so I am not technically just the leader of the business. I also consider myself the leader of the community. And how could you lead the business and not lead the community at Airbnb? They have to be one and the same. So what I want to talk about is putting community or keeping community at the center of what we do. The first thing I'm going to do, one change we're making, is I'm going to actually change my title from CEO to just CEO and head of community. The reason I'm doing that is, well, let me give you an example. Every other week, I stand in front of the employees and I do all hands meetings. I take questions from them. I write an email every Sunday to the employees. When something goes wrong, I'm there to speak to them. I am very, very hands-on. And the question is, well, why wouldn't I do all that for the host as well? We have amazing people running our mobilization efforts, our customer experience. We have a lot of community operating programs. I'm not suggesting I'm going to be hands-on running those, but I do think that the community needs to know there is a leader. And I really want to make sure that I get back at the heart of what I was doing when I started this company with Joe and Nate. And so that is one of the first things I'm going to be doing. As part of leading the community and really being and by the way, I say this not as an expansion of title as much as an expansion of response, of accountability. So it's more that I want to be held accountable not just to the business, but to the community. And there's a number of other changes we're going to make as part of this. The first is we are going on a global world tour. Today, this afternoon at 3 o'clock, I'll be going to London. I'm going from London to New York, to Cape Town, to Delhi, to Shanghai, and then to Beijing. And that's just 7 of the cities, I think. Is that 7? In total, Airbnb executives will be in 26 cities. Over the next 3 weeks. Nate, I think, was just in Berlin. And we're going to be going there to meet with our host, meet with our guests, meet with local officials, meet with our employees, mostly to listen, also to share some developments of what we're going to be doing. We are going to continue to do this like we did a number of years ago, city by city. The next thing is every quarter I want to, so that's number 1. Number 2, every quarter, I'm going to be hosting a Facebook Live event for the community where I'll share updates directly to you, guests and hosts, about what's happening in the Airbnb community, some of the products we're shipping, and then I also want to be up there and take questions from everyone. Again, this is what I already do with employees, and the question is, why wouldn't I just continue to do it for the host? I also write an email every Sunday to the employees. I probably won't add a second email every Sunday, but I will send periodic emails directly to the host community. The next thing is we are going to add, and I think some people here have already agreed to join, a host advisory board. So I think a host advisory board is incredibly important because oftentimes we sit in a room trying to make decisions. And of course, many of us are from the community, but I want to make sure that when we're making a decision that affects the community, that we're doing it for the community and not to the community. That's one of Chip Conley's pieces of advice to me. Make sure everything you do is for the community, not to the community. Well, the way you know that is to make sure they have a seat at the table. So we're going to be setting up a host advisory board. And finally, or two more things. One more thing about the host is, one, we have board meetings. Like every corporation has a board meeting. We have 4 a year, like every other company has 4 a year. I am committing that one board meeting a year, we're going to invite a selection of hosts to the actual board meeting. And I'm going to invite them for a portion of the board meeting where they can give feedback to me and the board and investors, and make sure that the community and the board are really connected and one and the same. And the final thing that we're going to be doing is we have 100 host clubs, and we're putting out a commitment to expanding that to 1,000 clubs around the world. So those are the changes that we're doing so far. Now, those aren't the entirety of the changes. Most of those changes are only to create further changes. In other words, all those changes that we're making are about us listening more, if I could just say it in one way, and giving hosts more of a seat at the table. Based on all of that, we hope to get increasing feedback that would help us understand everything we should continue to do for hosts. Now, we have a lot of other changes like on deck, improved customer service for hosts and a lot of other changes, but I didn't want to, I want to save that for our team. I think they can share some more direct feedback of some of the stuff they're working on. So this was really more about us putting community at the center of who we are. Maybe the final thing I'll say is, I think in the technology industry, or let me back up and say this last thing. There's a lot of economic uncertainty in the world today. I think our president of the United States is an example of some of the economic uncertainty and the fact he got elected. I think Brexit, whatever your opinion is, Brexit, I think, is another example of this. And I think that people feel like maybe not everyone feels like they'll be better off than they used to be. A number of those people turn to become a little more angry, and walls start going around people and countries. And one concern I actually have is not just what's happened to date with the world and the economy, but I'm a little bit concerned about what's happening with technology going forward with this notion of automation. I don't know if you know a lot about this, but many jobs that people have today will be automated in the future. It's just undisputed. The only thing we can debate is which jobs will be automated, but a lot will be. And this will have many benefits to people, but it also has a huge cost, and we need to think a lot about this. And so I worry that Made in America will become made by robots in America. And I wanted to end by saying that I don't think this is, everything that Airbnb will do will have people at the center of it. And I think this is a really, really important commitment, a recommitment at a time of uncertainty that our community is powered not just by technology, but first and foremost by people. And so if community is the heart of what we do, it really needs to be in my heart every day. And these changes are really about me honoring that commitment every day. So that's it for me and the kind of news that we wanted to share with you today.